This tutorial will walk you through how to create a Google form using your Google Drive. The first thing that you'll need to do is be logged into your Google account, and then you'll navigate to your Google Drive, and you can see up here that's drive.google.com. So once you're there, you'll come to a screen similar to mine, and you'll want to click on New, and then you're going to scroll down, and you'll probably need to go to More, and then you will select Google Forms. Once you select Google Forms, a new tab will open with your blank Google form. And you can then give your Google form a name by simply clicking in the spot where it says Untitled Form and typing in what you want your form to be called. So for example, you may be giving a quiz on core democratic values. So I would title this Core Democratic Values Quiz. And then in the form description, this is where you can put things like maybe any directions you want to give to the students. You don't have to put anything here, but it just sometimes is a helpful piece to give students some directions if you want them to do something specific. And then you just begin by creating questions. And the default when you click on Untitled Question is to make it a multiple choice. But here you can choose from a lot of different options. So the first thing that you probably want to do when you're having students take a quiz using Google Forms is to create a space for their name. So I'm going to make this a short answer question, and I'm going to change Untitled Question to what is your first name? And then you also probably want to make sure that you select that it's required. So you just click in that little slide bar and it will make the question required, which means that the student will not be able to submit the assignment until they fill out those questions. To add another question, you simply click on the plus sign, and it will by default put your next question underneath. But you can always, if you hover over those two little lines, you can click and drag and move your questions in any order. So if you create a question and then you forget that you wanted it to be the first question or whatnot, you can always move that around. So I'm going to make this, what is your last name? And make this a short answer question. Make it required. And then I'll do one more question with a multiple choice. So how many CDBs are there? And then when you click in option, it will give you the chance to change the title from option 1 to whatever you want your options to be. And you can simply click on add option and it will give you the option to add more. And then you do see that you have this add other option. So this would be something that if you were doing kind of like, hey, here are some choices, you can always do add another, and then students would be able to, if you hit add other, it automatically will give them a text box. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that out of there. I'm going to make this a required question. And that's kind of the basic. You can add a lot more different types of questions. So just looking at the form questions, you could do a checkbox type question. You could also do a drop down where kids would select from a list. The linear scale and the multiple choice grid, those get a little bit more complex, but that's sort of like if you wanted to rate certain preferences on a scale, things like that. The paragraph question, that's going to be useful if you want kids to answer in more than a couple of words. The paragraph gives them a full text box, where the short answer just gives them a text box that's really pretty small, and the more they type, the less they can actually see. It just kind of goes in one long line rather than in a paragraph box where you can actually see what you're typing. So those are some of the different things that you can do with a Google form. You'll also notice on the side here that you can add an image. So you could have a picture that you wanted your students to look at and analyze. Or with younger students, maybe you want to know if they can spell a particular animal. So you could have a picture of a giraffe and then say, which animal is this? You can also add a video, which is really cool. So you could have the kids watch a video maybe as homework, and then they can answer some questions about it using their Google form. And then add a section is to create another part to your Google form, and we'll cover that in a different video. But that's essentially it on creating your first Google form. And the one thing that you do want to do up here that I forgot to mention is to change where it says Untitled Form and give it the same name as your form, just for organizational purposes. That's what I always like to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and rename it. Okay. And you have some options up here where you could change the color of your Google form. So they have some basic solid colors you can do. Then you could also add an image that you had. So you can make it as personal as you want, or you can leave it the default. I'll just change it to blue. And then if you click on the eyeball, that's a little preview. So this is going to give you a preview of what your form will look like if a student were to take it. So this would just be someone who's taking your quiz or filling out your form. So you can see that the little asterisks show up on all of our questions because we made them required. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my form, my edit mode. And then over here I have my gear where I can adjust some of the settings of my form. So for example, you can make your form be restricted so that students can only submit one response, and that will require a login, which the students all have access to. They would just use their Google accounts. However, if you were sending this maybe to parents, you wouldn't want to check this box. You would want to just leave that unchecked. The confirmation page, so when a student fills out a form, once they hit submit, the next screen that they see says, thank you, your response has been recorded. But here you could adjust what that says if you wanted to. You might type in, please open your textbook to page 15 and begin reading, or, thank you so much, etc. You can, personalize it to what you want your students to see, but it's the default is here. So if you forget to do that or whatever, it's there to say that your response has been recorded. And then also you can give some options to show respondents a link. So if you want them to sign up for multiple things, you could allow them to submit another response. So when they finished submitting their form, they would see a quick link to submit another response. I generally uncheck that. Most of the time when I'm sending out a form, I simply want one piece of data from each taker of the form. So I usually uncheck that. Edit their response. So again, that's going to allow students to go back and edit what they've done. And then see a summary of responses. This will give them a visual of what other people have responded. So this might be something you keep checked if you were doing like a class election, or they were voting on which movie to watch, so the kids could quickly see who was, which one was in first place. But I generally would leave this unchecked if I was doing something like a quiz or something where I'm grading it. You don't want students to really be able to see what other people have said. So I'm going to leave all that stuff unchecked, and then I'm going to hit save. And then unlike our Google Documents and Slides, you don't have the share button here. Instead, you have the send button. So when you click send, you're not just sending it out into the ether. It gives you this option here where, again, it's giving you that choice. Hey, are you sure you want to let anyone take this? And it, by default, will ask you to send it via email. But as you know, your students don't have emails right now. So the best way to quickly send this form to all of your students is to actually click on the little chain link thing here and to simply copy that. And then you will take that link and post it in your classroom. So I'm going to do that very quickly. And I would post it as an announcement rather than an assignment. And by posting it as an announcement, it's not creating something that the kids have to do, because what they're doing is filling out the form. They're not actually completing an assignment within Google Classroom, and it sometimes can be tricky for kids if they see they have an assignment, but they've already completed the Google form. So I think it's easier to just do an announcement. So I went to my Google Classroom, I clicked on the plus sign, and now I'm going to choose Create Announcement. And then I would simply say, please take this quiz using Google Forms. And then you're going to click on the chain link here. You will paste in that link, and then you would choose add, and then post. I'm not going to post that because you all will get a link and you'll be like, what is that? So I'll delete that. But that is how you would quickly share it out with your students. So again, the process that I went through was I was in my Google form, I went to send, I went then to the link option. I highlighted and copied this, and then I went into my classroom and posted an announcement to my Google Classroom and pasted the link in. So that is how you create a Google form, and hopefully that was useful for you.